when it comes to the integration approaches, so we have learned some of the key pointers, like, we talked about one of the use case, particularly in terms of inbound email. Okay, when it comes to the inbound email, I explained, like, this is also one method of integrating ServiceNow with other systems. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand what features we have in ServiceNow that will help you to integrate, and what are all the various integrations that you also will be involved in setting it up. Okay, so very first thing, whenever we are implementing ServiceNow system, fundamental thing in in implementing any IT service management solution, or any even HR solution or Oracle solution, bare minimum thing is, like, you need to bring users into the ServiceNow system, right? You need to bring user profiles, users. So without user, are you able to use ServiceNow system? Can you imagine ServiceNow context without having any users in the ServiceNow system?
No.
Right? So users users are, like, one of the key component, key element in ServiceNow system. So you need to have users. These are the people, like, who are using this overall system, right? Okay, so fundamental thing is we will be bringing the users from Active Directory in real time. All the users, all the employees in company, everybody, like, they will be stored in some repository called Active Directory. Okay, so this is the place, like, where the users are, like, being recorded, all the employee information, every single thing. Like, when you join into any IT organization, very first thing they do is, like, they'll be creating your profile in this Active Directory. That is how you will be getting the access. And from this Active Directory, being this is a single source of truth, from here, like, the data will be pushed into any new technologies that you are bringing. It could be ServiceNow, or it could be or HR, or it could be, like, finance, or it could be any non-IT functionalities, and any products in service in enterprise. They will be consuming the user profiles from this particular directory only. Okay, now it is up to ServiceNow, and it is up to the company how this data is being located, and how you are trying to load the data into ServiceNow. Okay, for example, if they say that, if company is having a policy stating that the data is being preserved in the Active Directory, you from ServiceNow pull the data. You from ServiceNow pull the data, and then load it into your ServiceNow user table. So ServiceNow already has, okay, a plugin, okay, default plugin that is called LDAP. Okay, this LDAP plugin will help you to configure ServiceNow with, okay, any third-party system, or any Active Directory system in this context, and will help you to load the data into ServiceNow user table. So this is fairly simple. Okay, so this is one of the fundamental integration, like, majority of the companies do implement. Okay, they have provided. All you have to do is, what is that server name? Okay, what is that Active Directory server name? You need to work with your Active Directory team, add that server, and then also they will be providing the username and then other credentials you will be passing on. Okay, and then you also will be placing, like, the path of user profiles in that particular system. This is also will be provided by the LDAP team. Your job is just to configure. This is purely administrative job. You need to collaborate with them, and then configure it. Once this is configured, you will be able to pull out the details from the Active Directory, the groups. Okay, if they are, like, group structure is maintained in the Active Directory, you can pull out those groups into ServiceNow as is. Or if you want to pull in only users, you can just activate these users. This is a data source. You can say that, like, this is a definition that is configured against a data source, eventually will be transforming the data. We talked about it. Okay, and what data need to be filtered from the Active Directory? ServiceNow, guys, you don't have to do anything. You just have to collect this information from the Active Directory team and configure it. Okay, and from this server, and what is the target table, and this is the target table. Okay, so now after this, what will happen? The data will be loaded into the import set table. Okay, data will be loaded into import set table. We know that, right? If the data is being imported into import set table, we can use transformation mapping to transform the data into target table. This is the transformation mapping. So these steps are already available. Okay, every single thing is already in place. All you have to do is you need to pick up these pointers and send it to the Active Directory team and get that what is the server name, what are the credentials, what is the territory, and what is the filter. Okay, what is the filter to screen the data, and then you have other details are already been configured, and you will be transforming the data. So to achieve that, what integration that we are using? LDAP. So this is a out of the box already available plugin. Your job is just to work with the Active Directory team and then transform the data into ServiceNow to load the data into ServiceNow users or groups. This integration will help you to do this. Okay, right? So now this is about this out of the box plugin integration that is already available for us to use. And what is the other core integration that we do in each and every ServiceNow integration is, okay, authentication. Now, as a first step, we talked about having users loaded into the ServiceNow system. Now, the second step, how does these users are authenticated? Okay, in this ServiceNow case, what we are doing, we are creating a user and then we are also setting a password to login. But in real time scenario, you will not be logging into each and every single system with that dedicated login. What we do, the password will be maintained centrally in your Active Directory. Again, Active Directory, maintains your password. But what you do, you will be just logging in with your email ID or a login. ServiceNow will take down to your AD for authenticating. And then if your user ID password is same, then you will be allowed to work with ServiceNow. So, you probably have seen, for example, let us say, okay, now I am having this mail.google.com. So when I logged into mail.google.com, you probably have noticed that. So Gmail password I have supplied, so I'm able to log into this particular one. Now within the same Gmail product, okay, so within the same Gmail product, I have YouTube, I have, other products. Okay, let us say I want to open up a Drive. If you log into the Drive for the first time, it will ask you the user ID and password. But next time it is not asking me, but rather it is directly taking to my Drive. Okay, how is it happening? So this is happening via single sign-on. Okay, for the first time you will be going to authentication. From the next time onwards, you are not going to, authenticate. Rather, you will be using your initial authentication to access any system. Same way. Now I use this developer.service now for logging into ServiceNow system. Okay, for the first time it took me to single sign-on and then it authenticated. Now with this login ID, now what I want to do, go to Now Learning. Okay, if I go to Now Learning, predominantly what it does, it will be taking the authentication whatever we took here, and it will help us to log into the system. Same way you can go to the docs.service now. Okay, so the docs.service now. So the system will be automatically going to log in, like, with the same credentials. Okay, and then into the other products as well. Okay, now if I want to log into this particular ServiceNow system, see, this is going to single sign-on as single sign-on authentication. And now I'm being asked to put the password because my single sign-on token is expired, for example. So for the next time, it won't be taking, it will be taking from the single sign-on, and then it will be auto authenticate and help me to log on to the ServiceNow system. You can see this went to single sign-on for authentication. Similarly, in ServiceNow also, you will be integrating your ServiceNow system with SSOs. Okay, single sign-on. So these single sign-on things, again, we are nothing to do. All we have to do is we need to work with SSO service providers. It could be Okta, or it could be like, Azure, or we have various single sign-on service providers available in the market. Okay. And you as a ServiceNow administrator, you need to know there is a feature like, single sign-on that will help you to, configure your ServiceNow system to authenticate via single sign-on. So the other common integration that we do for ServiceNow is single sign-on, SSO. For what is this for? For authentication. Now we talked predominantly about, LDAP and then SSO, LDAP for user population and SSO for authentication. So the other very common integrations that will come up in ServiceNow is the most case e-bonding. Okay, we call it as e-bonding. Okay, e-bonding integration we call it as. When I said e-bonding, in for example, let us talk about companies like TCS, IBM. So what they do is like, they will be having their internal service now solutions or other IT service management solutions, and in a big companies you will have various other products. Okay, let us say your customer is using some other tool for managing some service request, and then like, you are working for ServiceNow, and then they wanted you to integrate with your incident management system with the other product incident management system. Then what happens? You will be, using these e-bonding integrations. So in this e-bonding integrations, it could be rebonding integration or record to record integration, which means in ServiceNow something happened, you want to invoke somewhere else. Okay, some other integration, maybe, some security related incident need to be created in the security management tools, or probably, HR related records need to be automatically created in the HR database. So what technically you do is, whenever some operation, some event occurred in ServiceNow, or whenever some event occurred in other system, and you want to pass on some data into ServiceNow or from ServiceNow to the other system. So in such scenarios, what we do is we will use other integration methodologies like REST, SOAP. These are various other integration methodologies which we will use to exchange information. Okay, to create or update records, create or update records on other system, or through inbound into ServiceNow system. Okay, we will pick up one example here, so we will give you some level of understanding. Now these are REST and SOAP. These are the APIs. Okay, so these are APIs. This will help you to integrate with other ServiceNow systems, or other any, it could be ServiceNow or it could be any other tool, okay, available in the customer landscape. Okay, and the very common integrations that we do use, inbound email. We talked about it. Okay, inbound email. So through which you will be able to create or update records in ServiceNow system. Okay, via email. This integration methodology we learned as part of our inbound email functionality. Okay, this is email API. So we have email API, so which will help you to integrate via email, inbound email, or you can send an email to other ServiceNow system. That email can be absorbed by any client and can be used to create or update a record. And now on top of all these regular integration methods, ServiceNow has introduced one of the very important feature, that is integration hub. Okay, now if you look into this one, you can activate that integration plugin. Okay, this is the feature which ServiceNow is highly recommending to integrate with any ServiceNow system. Okay, now integration hub is ServiceNow integration hub. If I activate this, okay, using this, you can see if I have activated this plugin, using this I can integrate with various Microsoft products and then Oracle products. Okay, let us say I want to integrate ServiceNow with the Teams, I can do that. Okay, from ServiceNow itself, like, you can update Teams messaging system. Also from Teams, you can create a record in ServiceNow. So you can build anything, any such kind of APIs using this integration hub methodology. Okay, so that integration hub is like again licensed one. So majority of the customers are not in a position to buy because they will be charging per transaction. Let us say you are, they were probably having some 15 cents or 20 cents per transaction. But in reality, when it comes to the integration, they will be in lakhs. So it will come down to a huge money for customer to pay for these integrations. So that is why ServiceNow in most case scenarios they will go with these SOAP and REST based integrations if the tool supports, because ServiceNow do support REST APIs, and if the other tool is also supporting REST or SOAP API, so we will use this SOAP API mechanism to exchange information across the systems. So that is how we will do. Okay, now let us do one thing. Let us pick up one example, okay, for your awareness. So I want to talk about SOAP API as an example. Okay, now my customer says, I want to create a record into your incident system from my other tool. Okay, now customer says, like, this is your incident. Okay, what currently we are doing, we are creating a record directly from this place. Like, so far we created directly from ServiceNow. My customer says, I want to create a record into your incident tool from my system. Okay, so now what is the requirement here? The customer wanted to create a record in ServiceNow system. Okay, now this is our ServiceNow system. Okay, and now this is a customer system. Okay, customer or a third party system. Okay, third party tool. So the third party tool wanted to create a record into ServiceNow. To do that, okay, so to do that, like, think, from layman perspective. What do we need? ServiceNow should share some details to third-party tool so that third-party tool can consume those details and then create a record into ServiceNow, right? To do that, ServiceNow should provide inbound email, okay, inbound API. Okay, ServiceNow should provide inbound API. Okay, this inbound API will be leveraged to create a record into ServiceNow. Inbound API will always help you to create a record in ServiceNow. If ServiceNow want to create a record in the third party tool should provide an API to ServiceNow. Okay. Now, if third party tool wanted, like, now if ServiceNow wanted to create a record in the third party tool should provide their inbound API to ServiceNow team. Okay. Their inbound API to ServiceNow team. Okay, this API will help them to create a record into the third party tool. At the same time, ServiceNow should create one outbound API. Okay. Okay. So this inbound API and outbound API will be bridged. If I'm allowed, okay, if my requirement is only unidirectional, okay, for example, let us say this is a unidirectional. Only the third party tool is going to create a record into my ServiceNow system. I'm not going to do anything more than that. Then I don't have to build an outbound API because I don't want to send a data to outside. If I want to send a data to outside of my ServiceNow system, then I have to consume their inbound API via my outbound API. So you need to have outbound API to consume their inbound API. Then you will be able to trigger your outbound API to create a record into third party tool, right? So this is how your integration design at a very high level looks like. Okay, so now pick up first example. I just want to create a record into my ServiceNow tool. Okay, my intention is I just want to create a record into my ServiceNow tool. Okay, while I'm doing it, I'll just request, okay, Hemant to you know uh, have his ServiceNow system up and running. Okay, Hemant, can you do that for me?
Yes.
Okay, so now let me create a record into ServiceNow tool. Okay, in ServiceNow tool, if you want to build a API, it is a very simple. Okay, but there are some best practices that you need to follow. I'll explain you at the end. Okay, now I want to build an API for me, like, to create a record into ServiceNow tool. It is a pretty simple. So go to REST API Explorer. we have a feature called REST API Explorer. This will help you to construct an API against any table you want. Okay, when I'm saying that I want to create a record into ServiceNow, which means what? We are going to create a record into some table. Okay, in my case, so our example is incident integration. So my record should be created into incident table. So I want to build an API. So on the incident table. Okay, so come down to this REST API Explorer. Here, you want to build an API. Okay, on which space? On the ServiceNow space. It's a table API. I want to create a record on the table. And what do I want to do? So this will help you to create a record using a post mechanism, retrieve using get, modifying, you will use put, and then delete to delete a record, update a record. Okay, see, there is a difference between modify and update. You can see here. So put will help you to update the entire record. Patch will help you to update any particular field on a record. Okay, that is the difference between patch and put. Okay, whenever you have that level of requirement, you will use it according to that. But if you want to use if you want to create a record, then we will use create. If you want to modify a record, we will use put. Okay. And if you want to modify any single attribute on the record, then you will use patch. Okay. In my current scenario, I want to create a record. So I use post. Okay. Post method. Okay. See, as soon as I click down here, you can see there is a API started preparing. Okay. So this is the API coming up. Now on which table I want to create? I want to create a record on incident table. Okay, so I'm selecting incident table. Okay, now I created incident record. So this is the table where I want to build a record. Now these are the values. If I want to supply any variables, any parameters according to your design, we will pass on these values. Okay, if not, okay, if not, I will be directly going down. So the format of the data, you can send various formats. You can send the format JSON format, XML format, or a text format. Okay, it depends on the integration, but the best practice is use JSON method. Okay, and then response will be in the JSON. And authorization, right now you are already logged into the ServiceNow system, so it will be taking this particular user profile as an authorization. But if you want to have this solution integrated with other tool, then you have to provide the user ID and password. We will check this how it works. So now this is the I'm starting building. Now I want to create a record into incident table, right? So what details I want to create, allow to create. So I will be supplying these details to my third party tool to feed the data. So I want to, when there is a record created, I want to supply caller information. Okay, let's say I want to supply caller information. I want to supply short description. I want to feed description. Okay, and then these are the basic details that I want to allow to create. So let's come down here and then here add body. You want to feed caller. Okay, caller can be being this is a reference field, right? Okay, now being this is a reference field, you need to pass on that sys ID of that particular record. Okay, you need to pass on the sys ID. You can take it from here, the sys ID of that record, add that, and then short description, creating a record from inbound API, add description, adding description. From API. Okay, I feed it. Okay, now this is my JSON data. Okay, that I'm actually feeding. Copy it into a notepad. We will use this data. Now I'm sending this data for my testing purpose. Now I'm sending it. Okay, when I send this, the system will be automatically going to create a record. go to your incident record and test it. Okay, refresh. In my testing purpose, I created a record. It is searching. You can see there is a test record created, and now API is also successfully built. Okay, this is the API. Now I can share this API with anybody along with authorization. Okay, along with authorization, they can create record from anywhere from the world. Okay, so they can use this API to create a record into this system from anywhere. Okay, now for testing purpose, what I will do is I will use Postman to create. So this is not a ServiceNow system. This is some third party tool. Assume it for a now. Okay, now launch Postman. Launch Postman. Now, to create a record into ServiceNow, what you need to do is you have to first log into the ServiceNow system. To log into it, you need user credentials. Okay. Now this is my API. So to do that, go to Workspace. Okay, and create a workspace. Okay, and here what method it is? It's a post, right? I want to create a new record. This is my API. I provided my API. Now, after I provided API, the details that I should share is authorization. What are my details? In this case, I'm using basic authentication. So I need to provide this username and then password. Only then I'll be able to create a record into ServiceNow. So let's create a user ID and password. Evan, you also please do the same steps. So now I'm creating a user profile in ServiceNow for my integration purpose. Okay, so now the system will do create. Let's create. I want to create a user. Okay, username is integration
Can I
user.
use the same name?
Yeah, you can use the same name or integration user. Or else to differentiate your user profile, you can just you can provide this user integration, because we can differentiate it. If I'm creating a record from in your system, you can differentiate it. So now I'm creating it from this particular one. This is the user I'm giving. Okay, now this is my user profile and I need to provide a password for this. Okay, and I want to provide, this is the password. Let's see if it is accepting it. Invalid reference, sorry, I'm giving it in the reference table. I need to provide a password, right? Okay, reload. Okay, so the password field is getting inactive because I need to set it. Okay, fine, I need to set it from this place. I'll do that. Okay, generate a password and then copy the password. Keep it here for a moment. A long password. Fine. And then close. Okay. Save it. Now the integration user is created. To make sure this integration user is having the capability to create, insert, update records into the incident table, it need to have roles to do that, because as you know, incident management system is coming from ITIL, so you need to have ITIL role, and also okay, you need to provide this ITIL role. Okay, and then also to create a record through the REST API, you need to provide this REST rows. Similarly, if you want to do it from SOAP API, you need to provide this SOAP rows. Okay, so that the system, this user can be acting as an integration user. Now I created user profile and I added roles. So my integration user is properly set up. Okay, now I'm going back, copying this user ID and placing it here for my testing purpose. Okay, now my integration user ID is there, my password is there, and I have the instance API, everything is good. Now let's go to this place and provide this username. This is my username, and then password is a long password. Copy it, a long password. Okay, now I copy it. This is the password, right? Check it like if everything is good. Now all good. Now everything is good. I have API, I have authorization. Okay, so the next one is I need to supply the body. Okay, I need to supply the body. The body is in which format? It is in the JSON format, right? When we created a text test format using REST API Explorer, we used JSON format. Okay, we used JSON format. So I will use the same body here. I don't change anything. For my testing purpose, if I want to do that, I creating it from some sample data. I can say that from Postman. I'm just changing the differentiation. Say that Postman is adding description. Okay. Now I have the body. Okay. I have provided the authorization. I have the API. These three steps are proper. Now I'm sending the data. If the API is good, if the authorization good, the third party tool, okay, the third party tool, this is not a service now. This should be able to create a record into my ServiceNow system. Let's see if it is created or not. User not authenticated. Okay, required to provide authorization information. Something is gone wrong. Authorization is failed. Okay, go to authorization one more time. Authorization did not work, probably for this lengthy password, could be a reason.
No, no.
Now
So we need to save the password here. We haven't saved the password.
I saved it because
No,
that is why it is there. Password is there.
no. Password we have copied manually, not saved.
Oh, you mean to say that? Okay, let's do that one more time. What you are saying is here, we set the password, but we did not save what you are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let's generate it. Okay, and then password generated. Copy that password, save the password. Okay, could be a reason. Okay, I saved it. Close. Password I don't want to reset. Save. And this time this is the password. Okay, use this password for authentication purpose. Okay, now this one is the password. Okay, send it. Yeah, that also could be a reason. Let's check that if it is successfully created a record. Yeah, you are right, Subbarao, right? So the incident, it is saying 1007 record is successfully created. Come to your ServiceNow system, test it. Yeah, it created successfully from third party tool. Can you see this? Okay, now this is how I created unidirectional integration. The third party tool is able to create a record into my tool. So this is a kind of an administration activity. So your job is nothing. All you have to do is, if somebody is asking, give me an API, you just have to build an API, come to REST API Explorer, provide that API, the kind of API he wanted. You just build that API and then also provide this integration user ID and password with third party tool. It is their job to make sure everything is good and then create a record into our ServiceNow system. Now, the next level is the development. Okay, imagine if the requirement is to update a record or create a record from ServiceNow tool into the third party tool. Okay, now what I will do is I will pick up Hammond's system is here is like, Hammond system is third party tool. Hammond, can you ping me your API and then user credentials? Can you just give me your instance name and then also the integration user ID and password? Am I audible, Hammond?
Just giving.
Okay. Okay, this is your integration user, and also this is your integration user, and then this is your password. Okay. Okay. Instance name.
Instance name 64607.
Oh, same instance name. Okay. Okay. Now I'll build it. I can prepare your API based on my API. No problem. So what happens, being your system is also ServiceNow system, I can do that. But if your system is a different service, no, different from ServiceNow, then you have to provide this API. Remember this. Okay. Now this will be your API. Okay. Now for testing purpose, I will do create one record. Tell me if this is successfully creating it or not. Okay.
Okay.
Now I want to test it from my point of view, whether it is creating a record or not. So now, so that like I can check the authorization details are good. Okay. Now I'm using this integration user ID. And password is this. And the body can be same body because your system is also ServiceNow system. No change in fields. Otherwise, as I said, like you have to provide all those details. Okay. Now the API can be like this. Sorry, JSON content can be like this. Now copy it. Okay. Now I'm sending it. If this API is good, okay, again, like you have the same problem. You also gave the wrong password. I believe you also haven't saved it.
I saved it. 1 minute. Let me do.
You please give me the updated password.
Yes.
Okay, you provided one more. Okay, this is your updated password. Let me paste it in my Postman. No, still same problem. I believe you are not saving it. After resetting it, like there is an option to save it. Are you saving that?
Yes. After generating, I have copied and the option like save.
Can you share your screen quickly?
Yeah. You're able to see my screen, right?
It's coming up. Yeah, now, yeah. Okay, set the password. Yeah, password needs to be reset. Okay, generate it. I'll tell you. Generate it. Copy. Save password. Wait. Close. Close. Now remove that. Yeah, save it. and paste that password. Okay, just hold on, hold on. I'm going to yeah, it created a record. Can you check that? Go to your incident table.
Yeah, one.
Refresh it.
Slowly.
Look, use updated column on the to sort it out. It's there in the right side completely. Okay, take your yeah, just updated by yeah, sort it out. Jet to A and scroll up.
This is what.
I'll give you the record number is 10060. You can see that record number also. I can share it because I received it in my JSON response. Oh, you want me to ping it? Okay, give me a second. This is the incident record created in your system. Search for that incident record. Okay,
It's showing me as a self-service and the state is closed.
just a second. I'm sending one more time. So this time it is 10016. Can you see this? Go to this record. Go to the list view. You can see there itself.
Yes. Now
Okay.
it's clear.
Yeah. So this is how the record will be created into your system. Okay. Now let me share my screen. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Now I have used Postman to create it, but now the requirement here is I want whenever I'm creating a new incident in my ServiceNow system. Okay. The requirement is like this. Whenever I'm going to create a record, okay, I'm creating a record in my ServiceNow system. So as soon as I created a record in my ServiceNow system, I want to have, Heyman also having record created in his system. Let's say I'm saying that testing new incident. Okay. And as soon as I submitted it, okay, as soon as I submitted a record here, so Heyman should receive the incident details, short description, and then the caller information quickly onto his system. So automatically this record need to be created. Okay. Now we learned couple of things. So what is it you can do? Okay. When there is an insert updated or deleted, what all the things that you can do in ServiceNow? You can set a notification or you can set a business rule or you can trigger a business rule. Now, number one, you know that you can trigger a business rule. Now, what we have to do is from business rule, we need to write a script. That script should trigger, automatically this incident creation in Heyman system. So to achieve that, okay, when we are building an integration, as I said, if I want to send a data into third party tool, in this case, okay, the dev, in this case, the record is need to be created into this particular system. Now this is my destination system, and wherein my source system is this one. To create a record from this particular source system into the destination system, I have their inbound API. I received an inbound API from this particular destination system. What I have to do, I have to create an outbound API, and this outbound API need to be triggered from my business rule. Okay, this is how I should be doing this end-to-end integration. Now to build an outbound API, it's a fairly simple. All you have to do is you need to provide their details. Okay, now go to this ServiceNow system, outbound, type outbound. Okay, so on the outbound, what kind of a message that we want to send? This is a REST message. So outbound REST message. Okay, I want to create integration between these source systems. Okay, so whenever we are creating an integration between, you know, ServiceNow to ServiceNow kind of, or ServiceNow to Remedy, or any other Symphony to ServiceNow, so they will be saying like an e-bonding integration. So these are e-bonding incident integration. Okay, this is the name of my API. Okay, this is the name of my REST API. So I can say that now e-bonding integration to create a incident record. Okay, this is my thing. And now, what is that endpoint? Now the endpoint I received from Heyman is this one. This is my endpoint. Okay, this is my endpoint. Fine. Now save this one. I have created an outbound message. Okay, a raw message. So I'll go further. Now to log into this particular outbound API, this ServiceNow system, I need an authentication. So what kind of authentication I'm using? I'm using basic authentication. There are various other authentication method like OAuth. So if OAuth is supported, then we can use those credentials to build this integration. In this case, it's a basic authentication. So what is that profile? Basic, when I said basic authentication, I need to provide a profile. Okay, if I have a profile, that is fine. Otherwise, I have to create a new basic authentication profile. What is that profile name? I will say this. This is the profile. Okay, integration for this particular one, right? So I'm giving this particular name, and this is the user, and this is the password that I'm using for this integration. Submitted. So authentication profile is created. I'm selecting this authentication profile for my integration system. Integration from ServiceNow to ServiceNow. Now, so by default, like there is a method. So now through which method I have created in the past, like you can see, I created a post method, right? I need to create a method here to invoke from my ServiceNow system. Go to this ServiceNow system. By default, you have it. You can change this one if you want. I can change this name to create incident, or I can create a new method also. What method I want to use? I want to say post onto this particular one. Okay, and then authentication profile, I'm inheriting it from the parent. Okay, and I'm saving this. Okay, I'm just saving it. Now, what kind of script that I will be invoking from my, okay, to invoke this API from anywhere in my ServiceNow integration. So to invoke this API, I will be using, okay, a script. Okay, so the script can be taken care from this place. Okay, preview script. You can see this. There is a preview script usage. Okay, so now if I'm using this script, automatically my, if I'm using this particular script, automatically my integration will be triggered off. Okay, so this is what I will be using my script. I'm just copying it for my secondary usage. Okay, now coming to this particular one. Now go to this, but for a moment, I want to test a record. Okay, now I want to test a record. I just created one test record. I just tested it, whether my integration is properly going or not. So the test is successful and it is saying 10017 record is created. Heman, can you confirm if this record is created in your ServiceNow system?
Yeah, checking.
10017, 170.
Yes, it's created 17,
It's created.
but start
So
description is empty.
yeah, empty, because I have not provided any details. Okay, I just tested my connection, everything is good. Okay, which means I established an integration from my ServiceNow system with the other ServiceNow system. Now the next one is subsequent. At the time of incident creation or update, I want to trigger this particular integration, right? So to do that, okay, to do that, I need to create a business rule. Okay, I need to create a business rule. Sorry, it's not a method business rule. It's a business rule. Okay, and then open it. Why this is stuck? Okay, outbound REST integration. This is the name. I clicked on it. Type incident. Incident slowly responding. Yeah, I selected incident. And now when do I want to send this? When there is an insert happened, then only I want to create a record. Okay. So now, okay, so when the short description is okay, when the start is not empty, then I want to invoke a script. What script I want to invoke? The script that I copied here. So this is the script that I will be invoking from my system. So here you can pass on very, whatever the details that you want to pass on. For example, the authentication. For example, now what I'm using is I'm using this particular API create incident. You can see that in your integration. Sorry, e-bonding integration, and this is the API. This is the API and this is the parent API. Okay, so that's what exactly we have supplied here. This is my parent API, and then within that, like, this is my child API. I'm going to create a record using this particular one. Now I can build the entire logic, like, to supply the response, even, the overall body. Okay, so the body should be in this format again, like, the one which we have shown here. So this is the can be a body. I want to use this body, like, I want to supply, okay, into this particular one, and then use this execute. Okay, so if I'm doing this particular, all that construction happens on this particular scenario. Okay, and then you will be invoking it. Now save this particular record. Okay, and then for a moment I want to have this where is this e-bonding integration outbound REST API. Okay, for a moment I want to use it for update also, and go to the incident record, testing it. Is there any record created on your system? Can you please check this on your side?
Yes, check.
Earlier you have created one 7, right? Now can you see that
18 is created.
18 is created? So the subsequent thing, all we have to do, the subsequent stuff is we'll just have to enhance this particular script. Now you can see, like, because I have used this particular one for my update. Let us say I will be creating another record in my ServiceNow system and test it if that is creating a record or not. Okay, incident. Okay, created. Okay, and the test caller is something like, and I will give, and I'm going to create a record. Did it created a record, new record?
Yeah, checking. No, it's not created.
It's not created.
No.
Let me check the business rule.
Yes, it's created. Yeah, now it's
Yeah, it's
created,
created.
but short description is empty. caller is also waiting.
Now that's what I'm saying. Now what we have to do is, so we'll have to structure our the whole body. Right now this is like, we are building. So what we'll have to do is, we need to build that particular API, build that particular methodology, what variables that you want to pass on, what exactly you want to execute, all that thing, like, that you need to build in your entire script here. So that script need to be passed on to your input. Okay, if this is executed, then automatically the body that you have structured will be passing on to your destination. So then there is automatically you will be able to pass on. If I want to supply my short description, I can do that. If I want to supply my description, I can do that. Okay, so whatever the variables that you want to pass on from here, you can pass on those variables in your REST API. So that is how you will be doing this integration further. Okay, is this clear? Any questions? Heman?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so most important thing, you need to build your outbound API. Okay, and outbound API. And if you want to create a record, you have to create it, use for post. And then if you want to get your data, get the data from your ServiceNow system and use it in my particular logic, I can get the details from your system and then use it for my consumption. All that thing, like, you will be able to do. But you have to, if it is a bi-directional integration, you need to have both inbound API and then outbound API integrated together. Then only you will be able to do the subsequent actions using your business rule or any server side scripting. So this is one example that I just explained, but you will have various other integrations. So if integration hub is activated, for example, your integration hub is activated, then you will be able to use your integration hub for your subsequent record creations. For example, I want to integrate with the teams. So that piece is like, fairly becomes simple and then easy using integration hub. But again, like, integration hub is a licensed one. Okay, I have activated. Okay, integration hub. Let's see if that integration hub is properly activated or not. Just let me just open it up. Go to your integration hub. You can see the integration hub is activated. So this integration hub can be very fully leveraged in your flow designer. Okay, now you have a flow designer. We talked about flow designer, right? If integration hub is activated, okay, and then this will be available in your flow designer. Okay, so how this can be leveraged in the flow designer? Okay, but again, like, this is altogether completely a new topic, as I say. Okay, go to flow, new action. Okay, here, like, if I'm creating a new flow, okay, test flow, submit it. Okay, in this case, okay, it's taking time to load it. Flow is successfully added trigger. Here you can see if integration hub is activated from your system, you can use your, why this is not still come up? Is it fully activated? Integration spoke. Let's say created in the action. If it is an action, type integration hub spokes. Yeah, you can see if my integration hub is activated, you can use all these. Okay, by default, you don't have to build anything. I want to integrate with AWS. I can do that. I want to integrate it with Amazon. I can do that. I want to integrate with Ansible. I can do that. Azure. I can do that. Okay, Cloudify. You can see deep translation service, document sign for signing and all. GitHub, you can do Google Calendar. So Microsoft products, SAP products. And see, you can see various range of integration spokes are already by default, enabled through our plugin activation. So we have activated in integration hub enterprise level, right? So if we have done that, through that, we have got various integration spokes which we can use in our flow designer to integrate with those systems. So that's the other method that we will be using, but again, remember, this is licensed one. Okay, integration hub is a licensed one, comes up along with spokes. Okay, default spokes. So these spokes will help you to integrate with respective tools. We just have visualized how these spokes can be consumed to Twitter, Udemy or Wrinkle. So right, so various products, you can see a list of products which we have. We by default, we can integrate with those, tools. So you don't have to build any logic like we have done in a inbound, outbound, all blah, blah. So you can simply invoke that integration directly using these spokes. But as I said, this is a licensed one, or most of the customers, they go for our traditional integration, which we just spoke, because this is purely, no cost. And then, if we have a developer, we can use the developer time to build these integrations and then get the job done. Okay, so with this, I hope you are able to get some high level of understanding how and what are the various integration approaches we have, and which integration approach should be leveraged at what point in time, right? So this is one activity wherein most of the developers should be spending time, particularly in integrating your ServiceNow system with other products. And you should know, what are all the components that we have in hand, to leverage whenever it is needed. Okay, so I hope I don't want to make it more complicated. That's why I try to make it simple. I want to make sure you are aware of the scripts, wherein if required we can further extend this entire script component here itself, to include variables also into this one. And I'll share you there are various videos available. So if you want to practice in detail, you can do that as well. So you can additional enhance your scripting. Okay, I want to pass, I want to build the body. Okay, which I want to execute. Okay, something that I can build a body. So where, for example, let us say I want to say body is equal to variable body. Okay, body body is equal to I can pass on either structured content for my testing purpose, or I can slowly build some ABC is equal to current dot your current value, and I can follow flow all those values into this particular script dynamically and execute this body at the end, so that the data will be passed on to your output connector. You can say that to this endpoint through your output connector. Your output connector is our outbound API. So you can pass on these variables also according to your requirements, so that dynamically whenever you are passing on some data, the same thing will be supplied onto your destination system. Okay, so that's all about integration approaches. I know that I spoke a lot, but I want to make sure if there is any topic which is literally unclear, so that I can spend a little more time on that. Rani, does it make sense? Any questions?
It is clear, sir, but I just need to implement the same once I get them.
Yes. Subara?
Yeah, it is clear, Srikanth. Thank you.
Heman, any questions?
Nothing, my friend.
Chaitanya?
No questions, sir.
Okay. So in that case, so can you guys practice this
Yes, sir.
tomorrow? And then, ask me if you have any questions.
Yes.
Sure, sir.